How are you guys doing?
Good, Stevie. I like your background.
Thank you. I trolled the internet for that one.
I
So
like it.
try to give you the best. So, I know you directed previous Saw films before. How was this experience for you different from the ones that you've done in the past?
I think there was a lot more pressure on me this time, only in the fact that you're dealing with two titans, between Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson. And I think that there was a lot of eyes on this movie. On top of that, the fans. I had a responsibility to the fans. I've been gone for 14 years, and there was excitement with me coming back. So I think there was a lot to live up to. It wasn't like this was some movie that no one knew anything about. There was a huge um, buzz around it. So I think that I was very nervous coming back in to be able to live up to what the fans wanted and to be able to do justice to Chris Rock's idea.
It's also really fascinating because the energy of this one feels like it's like this cop thriller with these elements of Saw that we're kind of used to, and so it's a good mix of genres, if you will. And I'm just curious, like, what was that like to shoot that type of
Yeah.
film, as opposed to
Yeah, I
just
think I think that I started off with the first vision was I wanted to make it more like Seven and not so much like a horror film. And then one of the big influences that Chris had was 48 Hours. And so if you were to take those two movies and smash them together, I think that is Spiral. It's got that humor of 48 Hours. It's got that kind of that gritty nature of something like Seven. But it's got the familiarity of a Saw film. So while it is a procedural, you do have these traps. You have that iconic puppet. You have the ingenious kind of twists and through lines. So it's the DNA is rooted in Saw, but it's its own unique thing.
to have someone like Chris be on the film and him being a super fan, like what was that like? I mean, were there moments where you're like directing him and he's like, oh no, yeah, I don't know, was there any kind of
Oh
like
yeah.
surprise?
Well, no, Chris is always respectful of the directing process. I mean, he's a filmmaker himself. But I tell you what was weird about it is that he would, in the middle of takes, he would reference my own movies. And he'd be like, hey, Darren, remember in Saw 3 when you did this, or in Saw 2 when Donnie Wahlberg did this? And that's something I was not expecting. I mean, I grew up watching Chris Rock and listening to his specials. And to then have this guy who I've, I'm a huge fan of, referencing things I shot 10 years ago, it was surreal.
The things that Saw films are very famous for are these traps that people kind of wake up to and stuff.
Yeah.
Were there any ones in particular that you had a great time shooting without giving any too many spoilers of what they were actually set up? But like, was there anything kind of
I
fun
mean, yeah, my favorite one in the movie, just from its simplicity, is the wax trap, because it's a very simple trap, and it's something that is just disturbing to me. But the one that I thought was the most cool was the first opening trap, because just from a geeky filmmaking standpoint, like the fact that that was a forced perspective set, which means it was a very small set we were on, but it looks like this huge tunnel, and it was all done through movie magic of painting it to look like it was a big tunnel and adding atmosphere so you can't tell. And so when you're on set, it looks like you're on a subway, and then you walk 3 feet and you've hit a wall, because it's like an old Looney Tunes. It's painted to look like a subway. So I loved that one. It was just cool. It was the movie geek in me loved that one.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations on the film, and I look
Thank you so
forward
much.
to perhaps more of these in the
I hope
future.
so too. I hope so too. So thank you very much.